Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Beasts of the Southern Wild. Hush Puppy, a little girl who lives in the bathtub, which is an island on the other side of the levee in New Orleans. Not the side where everyone lives, but the other side. Kind of like a town on the wrong side of the tracks, if you will. And she lives there with her father, and this whole town of people who, you know, they have giant celebrations, they have more holidays, as she says, than people on the other side of the levee. And, you know, they're very carefree. Nobody ever cries and is downtrodden. They're all happy. They're very jovial. There's tons of liquor. They all like, the adults at least like drinking. The kids have fireworks and have lots of fun until a giant hurricane comes, and they were all aware that this would happen one day. They were told in school that one day that there would be no bathtub and it would all be swallowed up in the ocean from a giant rain, or the ice caps would melt. And then this hurricane hits, everything's covered in water. They drive around these makeshift boats that her dad made out of a truck. They just get by on what they kind of have around them. They're very dirt poor, and how they can kind of survive through having the entire bathtub underwater, how they live through this kind of tragedy, I guess. You know, there's more to it, but I've read a lot of plot descriptions. They kind of like give away like almost the entire movie, so I don't really want to do that. This film kind of has a very lyrical quality to it. It's very well directed for a first feature by Ben Zatillin, I think that's how you say his name. It's very Terrence Malick-like. It reminds me a lot of Days of Heaven, especially the girl, Hush Puppy, has narration throughout, and it kind of is from a kid's perspective. This is playing in the real world, but from a kid's perspective, or pretty much the real world. You know, they don't tell you what hurricane it is. You assume because it's New Orleans, I guess, and because of where they go later in the film, that it could possibly be Katrina, but they never say that. It's kind of like an imaginative, cool little world that like nobody goes to. It reminds me of Pogo and the Okefenokee Swamp. In a little ways, the refined storytelling of it reminds me of Hayao Miyazaki, and I like the combination of Hayao Miyazaki and Terrence Malick, and it makes it, this is definitely an art film. You know, it's very arty and independent, a very good structured quality to the storytelling, so that there are parts of it that I don't understand. They keep showing these creatures, the Arkarots, and they don't really tell you the meaning behind these creatures. They're kind of large prehistoric cattle. They're told earlier these were very intimidating creatures and they would just eat kids and they wouldn't care, and the kids' parents couldn't really do anything because they're so large and powerful. And you don't really know what the purpose of that is, and there is kind of some more cerebral things going on, like something like Tree of Life. This film is a little more digestible than a lot of art films are to at least a modern audience. The way of the narration, the way they set up all the kind of the rules of this world, a welcoming village, you know, much like in Hayao Miyazaki's films, like it reminded me of like kind of the townspeople in Kiki's Delivery Service, or it's kind of like a fable. It's kind of like a kid's story, you know, that they live in this place called the bathtub that's on the other side of the levee. That division of wealth, how they look at the modern world, is kind of like something that they'll never really attain, and they know they'll never live as good as they do in the bathtub, you know, that they need to reject from society. And I kind of like the whole bathtub. I like all the characters and the community around it. It's odd because it's very much a fantasy. I mean, I don't think there's a real place like the bathtub. Maybe there is, but from the way it was presented to me, it doesn't feel like there's a real place like the bathtub. The mythical quality about this movie, it kind of romanticizes. Everyone in this film is not just poor, but like extremely poor. Like, I don't think they have like money at all, like anybody. I mean, I don't know how they get all these the alcohol and the food. It looks like they like basically like hunt and fish and maybe steal. I don't really know. There's stuff that isn't explained because there's some things when you're a kid that just aren't properly explained, but you kind of just accept it. Her father, who takes care of her, he gets sick throughout the film, and as you know he has a problem with his heart, which they don't ever tell you what is wrong with his heart. He's a little mad, he's a little crazy. Her dad even says if he can't drink beer and catch crawfish, he doesn't want to be alive anymore. And it has this kind of handheld shaky cam to it, which actually works because it always felt like you were there, like it was kind of a small crew and you can imagine yourself there, and it felt very real the way he used the camera. You know, I haven't seen shaky cam used this effectively really in a long time, and an actual shaky cam in an actual independent movie, it makes you believe in like this small little like poor world. Yvonne Zaheen Wallace does a great performance as Hush Puppy. She's really the anchor of the movie. You know, she is the main character, but she does a really great performance for such a little kid. But she definitely has a true identity as a young actor, which is something that I don't see from like actors twice, triple, or 4 times her age. After a while, I kind of knew by her facial expressions what her face looked like at certain emotions, like she's like an old friend or something. I mean, that's kind of the acquaintance you get with Hush Puppy. This film's confusing, but it's also very straightforward, and it's very kind of beautiful. It kind of wraps you up in this crazy little world of, you know, Louisiana. It is a very odd little strange movie, but it's kind of one of those odd little strange movies that you love. And it's the reason I love this movie isn't because it's weird and strange, it's because I love these characters and I love watching like Hush Puppy, and I'm still like kind of processing this movie. I feel like in a week I'll go, oh, I didn't think of that. So if you have seen Beasts of the Southern Wild and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.